the highest honor of our race. She is on our side of the line. She is truly one of us, but the greatest. Indeed, before time as we know it, it was given some kind of knowledge, intuition or vision to the head of the fallen angels, Lucifer, that there would be a greater than he. He until then had been the greatest and he knew it, hence pride at the origin of all. He couldn't bear, there would be first of all someone in human form that he would have to adore, and then he was given to understand that this woman, one of us, would be the greatest of all, and he has a perfect hatred of anything to do with her. Remember that next time you think you have more important things to do than say the rosary, especially as a family. We have helps with regard to intuitions and lights regarding this highest honour of our race, what happened and why. You may remember the series of events which started at Rue de Bac, when the Immaculate Conception, not yet then defined, appeared to St. Catherine Labouré, and it was kept very quiet. We all probably have around us the Immaculate, or rather the medal of the Miraculous Medal. It wasn't called that initially, it was called that of the Immaculate Conception. And then we have when she comes back in Lourdes. Now, there are interesting things with regard to what happened at Rue de Bac. She was able, if you remember, to be on her knees before a real human being and to touch those knees in the chapel that's still there at Rue de Bac. She was really there with her body. Now, she kept all this very quiet. Years later, somebody in the community, who had an inkling who it might be, who had the visions, came out with this to almost make nothing of them. The one who saw the Virgin really saw her in her mind, nothing to do with flesh and blood. And without reflecting on what she was saying, her natural mode came straight to the surface, unfiltered. The sister who saw the Blessed Virgin saw her in flesh and blood like you and I. Now, it was not that late in time that she appeared in Lourdes after the declaration by Pius IX, now Blessed Pius IX, of the Immaculate Conception. And you know how it worked out. They had to look into the question, how could she be one of us and yet not be in need of redemption? It was sorted by the fact that God is outside time and pre-application can happen. The chain was broken and Satan has no link with her, and therefore the consequences follow. The consequences of corruption become putrid as a result of sin. They're not there. She was perfectly the new Eve as Christ was the second Adam. Our faith is logical. So, when she appeared then in Lourdes, word got through to hidden Catherine Labouré, and again she blurted something out. Salmen! It's the same one. She knew straight away. And what did she say? In the patois of the area, the only one understood by little Bernadette, I am precisely the Immaculate Conception. And she went back to the good Archpriest of Lourdes, because he'd wanted to know who it was, and she came back, Conception was what he was saying. What? And he got it straight. She didn't invent that one, she hadn't a clue what it meant. She didn't know the facts of life. And so he took her seriously eventually and defended her. Now, it went on, the same came back, even more dramatically at Fatima. And I believe that she came back also at Garabandal. There's a continuity between the two, because she, as she was ending this visions at Fatima, she said she would come back as she'd gone as a Lady of Mount Carmel. Remember the visions on the 13th of July? Well, she did. And it was in that form she came back to Garabandal in 1960. That went on to 1965. And by the way, one of the reasons why she came with insistence then, more than once, many times, was because all the court of heaven, the angelic choir, St. Michael, who appeared, remember, was seeing what was happening on earth and what was going to happen with regard to one big issue, the centre of the life of the church, abuse of the Blessed Sacrament. Already, at the beginning of the 60s, this was coming from heaven. The Eucharist is being given less honour, less reverence. What would they say now? Our Lady hurts when the body that's come from her and the blood is hurting. We've had signs of that also, e.g. in Civitavecchia in the 90s, when the bishop of the area sequestered this bleeding statue and it bled in his hands. He got it analysed, and what did he find? It was male, it was masculine blood. So we realised she was, on behalf of her son, precious blood, weeping. You are abusing my gift to you, the body I gave to my son. And I still believe, whatever anyone else might say, that she's appearing at Medjugorje. Why? Because I was right next to Maria, one of the visionaries, when she went into ecstasy. She was there, I was there. We were having rosary together. And there's no way that that could be put on. She was just like us praying away the rosary, and suddenly, she changed planet. She gazed into something physically above her. Her voice, until then audible, went silent. We couldn't hear it, but she was having a genuine conversation and looking straight into the eyes of a living person, just like the one who appeared, in fact the very one who appeared at Rue de Bac in 1830. Believe what you like, you won't fool me. That was our Blessed Lady. And we've had lots of encounters with her on earth. In fact, not that far away. At Kilnabrot, we had things going on in those all-night vigils. I told you before, but for those who weren't there, I'll tell you this one amongst others. It was this. There were about 1,000 people there all night, and prayer was going on, and things were happening. We knew that she was there. And I was just behind this statue of Our Lady of Fatima, which we were carrying. 4 strong men carrying a kind of stretcher with her on it, and they couldn't carry it. It started to wobble. Eventually they got their act together, and it went on, Rosie went on, and further on, the same thing. They couldn't handle it. And remember, the leader of the whole thing, Michael Cassidy, still alive, looking back and saying to the woman behind him, "Do you find this yoke very heavy?" Yeah, they couldn't believe it. They couldn't handle it. It wasn't just that statue. So they got down against the grotto, which is still there, and we found this huge cloud of heavenly peace enwrapping us. Now, it was at dawn when I found out what happened. I was talking to the prior, and Michael Cassidy was there after everyone had gone. What was all that about? The prior knew. He got it from a child. Listen, children, you are our eyes. You are innocent, and you can see things that we can't sometimes. It happens a lot. The children are our eyes. Keep them clean and pure. Let the angels of earth, as Kureval said. Well, this child had seen what we hadn't seen. At all those points where they couldn't handle it, he saw the Blessed Virgin on that thing they were holding. Her body and her weight was on it. The assumption is actually logical. The body did not go into corruption, it had no original sin, and it's the same glorified body, the only one of our earthly race which is there after her son, as yet. And at the end, he saw her on a cloud, looking on all 1,000 of us in the heart of the night, beaming and blessing us. She brought us there to bring peace to Ireland. You may remember perhaps in the early 90s, there was a danger of some kind of civil war. Now make a jump. This is the Queen that we have, and some visionaries have seen it happen. You may have heard of Blessed, or then at least, Mary of Breda. She saw it all. The one that our own poet William Wordsworth has described as our tainted nature's solitary boast. What happened? This mystic, one of the greatest of all times, was graced with this vision. We find it in the mystical city of God. After placing the Most Blessed Mary on this exalted and supereminent throne, next to her Son, the Lord declared to the courtiers of heaven all the privileges that she was to enjoy. In virtue of this participation in His majesty, the person of the Eternal Father, the first principle of all things, was speaking to the angels and saints, and these words were heard. Our daughter Mary was chosen according to our pleasure from amongst all creatures, the first one to delight us, and who never fell from the title and position of a true daughter, such as we had given her in our divine mind. She has a claim on our dominion, which we shall recognize by crowning her as the legitimate and peerless lady and sovereign. Then she heard this, the incarnate word. To my true and natural mother belong all the creatures which were created and redeemed by me, and of all things over which I am king. She too shall be the legitimate and supreme queen. The Holy Ghost said, since she is called my beloved and chosen spouse, she deserves to be crowned as queen for all eternity. Having thus spoken, the three divine persons placed upon the head of the Most Blessed Virgin a crown of such new splendor and value that the like has been seen neither before nor after by any mere creature. After this crown, beautiful beyond all imagination, was placed on Our Lady's head, states Mary of Agreda, these words came. It decreed all these beautiful things about the Queen of Angels. She is the Queen of Angels, she is the Queen of men. All hell fears her as its supreme empress and mistress. She is given power over nature according to her will. She is the empress and mistress of the militant church, its protectress, advocate, mother and teacher. She is the special patroness of Catholic countries. Praise God, we are a Catholic country officially still. It's in the Constitution, member with regard to the Holy Trinity. Whenever we call on her from our hearts, she has power to relieve and help us in our labours and necessities. She is the defender of the just. She has power to comfort, console and fill them with blessings according to their devotion to her. She has been made the treasurer of all the graces of heaven, and everything that we receive from God comes through her hands. Exactly what I started with. If you look at your miraculous medal, you will see rays coming from the hands. These are the graces that she's handing on and obtaining for us. She has suppliant omnipotence. Whatever she asks for, she obtains, because she is perfectly pleasing to the Lord. Then there's a little aside about the relatives of Our Lady, Joachim and Anne. They had a special glory as well, and on it goes. But I just want to conclude with one thing. Do you know that this is the only day, really, in the whole liturgical year, in which the whole church, the church breathing fully with its two lungs, East and West, Roman Catholic and Eastern Orthodox, have the same feast. We don't agree on Easter, we have trouble even at Christmas, but this we have together, and it's massively feasted in the East, massively, in their own way. They have never defined things. They refer to it as the dormition, the falling asleep. But look at their liturgy, look at their icons, look at their mentality. They know perfectly well where she is and how. There was a huge pilgrimage, massive, starting about 3 days ago in the north of Romania. A huge human trail, thousands upon thousands of simple, poor people climbing mountains kilometres and going kilometres and kilometres and kilometres to come to a monastery there where they have a miraculous icon, which was written by a monk, a priest, and for 3 weeks in 1669 wept. It's the miraculous icon of Nicola. And they stayed in prayer the last night, all night, thousands upon thousands. As she started at 2 in the morning, patriarch there, nothing could stop the fervour and praise of the simple people. Our Eastern brethren, who don't define things as we do, but have the same sense of the faithful. My brethren, she is the one who will heal division. She does not want these 2 dates for Easter. The triumph is one, and the church should be one. And she can obtain this for us if we ask her, remembering that she has power over the heart of the Son, that on this day takes her and crowns her Empress. I give you this, which in 1981 I think I composed. It's on the child being taught by St. Anna to read and play, the little feet that little Mary had dancing in Galilee, growing up as a virgin, and those little feet now dancing on the seraph and the clouds of glory where she stands.